Tonight's meeting is convened in accordance with the governor's executive order, which suspends certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with that executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view and participate in tonight's meeting by computer, smartphone, or telephone, and to view the meeting on the usual cable television channels. The recording of the meeting will be posted to the town website, and a written transcript of the meeting will be prepared and provided at a later date. There has been a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I have also confirmed with the secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed. We have fulfilled our legal obligation, legal notice requirements by posting a copy of the notice of the meeting on the town's webpage and on the doors of Town Hall. As the town's bulletin board is within the building and not presently available to the public, we have emailed a copy of the notice to the media, and we have confirmation that the legal notices for the public hearings have been properly published. Okay, so for those of you who are new to this process, there's really two parts to it. The first is the presentation of any of the applications. We take them in order of the agenda. After any of those application meetings are closed, there's a deliberation portion at the end of the meeting where we discuss it and come to a vote. There is no public participation in that portion of it, but during the original application portion, the public is welcome to and encouraged to make any comments that they like, subject to time limits depending on how many people are here. Okay, so I'd like to begin under old business. Number 1, Vassar College, 124 Raymond Avenue. Is there anyone here from Vassar College? No, but I noticed that there's a request for an adjournment until the September 14th meeting, so I would make a motion to adjourn item number 1 to the September 14th, 2020 meeting.
Second
that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed? That passes. Okay, number 2 is Stewart's, 2245 South Road. We've gotten a number of pieces of correspondence from area residents, also from a law firm. The application or the submission of documents from the law firm, I think, is going to require us to have some additional consideration. Is there anyone here from Stewart's?
Yes, Chad Fowler with Stewart's. I'm here with Alec Glad from Cuddy Fetter and with Andrea from Baser Consulting.
Okay. And did you get a copy of the correspondence from Fetter?
Submitted from Keenan Beans. Yeah, yes, we did.
Okay. Do you have any objection if we adjourn this till the next meeting to take a closer look at their application, at their allegations?
No, I guess I would just maybe request an opportunity to present on some of the stuff that we've submitted, because we've submitted 2 letters at this point, and I guess would like an opportunity to present to the board.
Okay. In light of the fact that I think that this matter is going to be adjourned to the September 14th meeting, is there anyone in the public that wishes to comment on this now before we make any decisions about any new information? There is one person in the audience. If you want to step forward. You can have a seat. State your name, and you'll be sworn in, and then you can say what you like.
My name is Peter Mack.
Well, wait a second. Try that.
My name is Peter Mack, 206 Over Rocker Road.
Okay. Christine?
Mr. Mack, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, you can have a seat.
Well, here we are once again, another gas station abutting a residential district. This one needing 6 variances. Most significant is a 500-foot setback from a residential district down to 73 feet, a difference of 427 feet, and a minimum parcel of 2 acres down to 0.949 acres. There are other gas station projects pending in the town that have even further reduced setbacks and tolerances. Why have laws? Laws which you put on the books, only to be broken over and over again. Laws, to protect residences from adverse health and environmental effects, not to mention quality of life issues. I feel like these proceedings, and similarly with the planning board, to be like a Cole Porter musical. Anything goes. Anything goes when it comes to commercial development, sacrificing adjoining neighbors' valid concerns with noise and light pollution, loitering, 24-hour operations, and health and environmental hazards. A property owner's rights to develop their property ends when it adversely affects adjacent property owners' right to a peaceful and safe existence. One of the biggest issues here is the health hazards of gasoline, which contains the toxins benzene, toluene, and xylene. The most harmful, benzene, has a proven causal connection to cancer, which is well documented in the scientific community, with the EPA classifying gas stations as a point source for benzene. An October 2018 study by Marcus Hilpert, professor at Columbia University, found vent pipes at gas stations release 10 times the amount of benzene previously thought, which are used to model for how gas stations should be placed from sensitive sites, such as homes and schools. Even in their short study, they found people could be exposed to benzene beyond 300 feet. Recent analysis in the American Journal of Epidemiology found elevated risk of childhood leukemia among children living near gas stations, and a French 2004 study found a link between childhood leukemia and residences within 100 meters or 300 feet of a gas station. Similarly, in 2010, Spanish researchers at University of Murcia found increased, levels of airborne chemicals within 150 feet of a gas station due to the evaporative process during filling. EPA themselves published school siting guidelines recommending careful evaluation of any potential school location within 1,000 feet of a large gas station. Well, what about residences with young children and grandchildren like we have here? Myself, as a U.S. Army colonel with 26 years of service, I've been taught to choose the hard way over the easy wrong way. All of you, as community leaders, should be choosing the safety and well-being of the community over the easy, fast dollar. And I like to close with a quote from Thomas Sowell, who's an American economist, and he's a senior fellow at Stanford University. He says, "It is hard to imagine a more stupid or a more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong." Who's going to pay the price for being wrong here? Is it the zoning board? Is it the planning board? Is it the town supervisor? Or is it the residences, or more importantly, the children of our community? Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience?
I'd like to reserve, I don't want to speak if you guys are hopefully adjourned. I'll say my excellent arguments the next one.
Okay,
I want to reserve my ability to speak if for some reason we don't.
okay. Come on up. Oh,
Oh, this is Lisa. If I can just interrupt, apparently Tony is in the waiting room trying to get into the meeting. I don't know if you have somebody on site. I just emailed too, hoping so that they can let him in.
I'm looking for, well, Christine Baker somehow actually ended up being the host of the meeting. I'm trying to get her to release it, but I can't seem to get a hold of her.
have a seat, I'll be right with you.
Hi, Christine. I see that you're on the call. Is it possible for you to relinquish
Okay,
the,
that's what I expect to have happen, yeah. All right.
We're not sure how to do that.
Yeah, I'm
So,
trying to get
if
it
you
back
go
on.
at the bottom where you go to participants, you should be able to, in an ideal world, pick, I don't know if it's meeting, if you want to make me the host, then I can let people in. You should be able to sign test someone's name, make them either a co-host or an alternate host.
Yeah, it doesn't have me listed as a host anymore. That's the problem. Well, here we go.
That work?
We lost Lisa.
Um,
I got a message that the meeting room is the host now.
Got him.
Okay, that's good. So Paul, do you have the ability, or does someone who's?
We have them joining now.
We have a lot of people apparently in the waiting room waiting to come in.
They're in now.
I'm sorry, didn't realize.
What's that?
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're all set now.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry for the person I cut off.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we have one person on an iPhone that has their hand raised. I'm assuming they want to speak.
Okay, can you unmute that person? Maybe you should mute that.
There we go. Whoa. Okay.
I think it's Tony, unfortunately.
Hello?
Yeah, we should be, all right.
Hello?
Tony, you're on twice. I can see you and you're also on the phone, so you need to mute one of those.
Yeah,
You're
Tony's
on
muted.
by
Tony's
phone and by
muted.
computer.
Tony's muted.
Tony, you're on by phone and computer, so only his computer is
Yeah, I don't know what computer he's on there.
This is ridiculous.
Hold on, he's on twice. at once.
So,
I got him. All right.
okay.
I didn't realize he was there twice. We're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to comment on this?
Yeah, David Robinson. Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes. Why don't you state your name again, and then you'll be sworn in?
David Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Well, what do you want to say?
I live on 12 June Drive, and I want to thank my neighbors for banding together and sending over 130 letters in opposition to this project. I don't understand how the zoning board can just grant these variances when the laws that are on the books are designed to protect us. How many of the zoning board members live 35, 73 feet or even 500 feet from a gas station? It seems to me that Stewart is trying to squeeze this project into a piece of land that is too small. If you support this project, who's to stop other businesses from asking for variances that come too close to our neighbors? Also, Stewart has built many stores that have no gas at all. So why can't they just build a store and not the gas? Wouldn't that help get rid of many of these variances they need that would harm our area? Thank you, and I ask you to vote no. That's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Joseph Zondo?
Yes. Hello?
Mr. Sando, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like to say?
I just want to say that I live on 8 Gene Drive, and I have neighbors that, you know, they put up signs and everything. They put in letters, and we all have frustration with the project. You know, they got pictures with current lighting and everything, but I've seen other Stewarts, and there's way more lighting than that. And it's not the fact that it's on a commercial road, but at the end of the day, it still deals with those houses that are right there, right next to it. And you know, just the parking lot, it'll be lit. It'll just mess with people regular living, you know, people that live there for years. I only been here only 6 years, but there's people that's been here 30 years. Nice, calm, you know, nice at night. And then now you're going to deal with all of this traffic coming into the neighborhood because nobody's going to want to wait on that light leaving there. So then they're going to find other routes going through the neighborhood, kids that ride their bikes through there, you know, all types of stuff. So it's just not a decent area for that place to be there. That's, you know, that's all I'm saying. There's plenty of other areas that I've seen it, especially like on 9D, a large area right on 9D where they can add a gas station, but they want it right there. I don't know why, but it's just gonna destroy that area and destroy our neighborhood. you know, it's just not going to make it pleasant anymore. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else?
I would like to speak.
Okay, can you identify yourself?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Will you
Okay,
state-
my name is Linda Mack, and I'm speaking in solidarity.
Ms.
with-
Mack, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I am speaking in solidarity with the people who are dealing with the Stewarts project. Again, the town of Poughkeepsie is trying to do something. They're circumventing their own laws that were put on the books to protect the residents from issues like this, and without any regard to our safety, quality of life. I've been to many zoning board meetings where the zoning board quibbled about a 1-foot variance because of a parking area between two residents, and yet,
Sorry, I can get the grill in a minute.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I think somebody else is speaking also.
Oh,
Go
well,
ahead.
please tell me when to continue.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have been to zoning board meetings and now I see how it works. They are very deliberative when it comes to minor issues between residents, a foot variance with a fence, a foot variance with a little parking area by a driveway. But when it comes to projects that they have decided from the get-go that they want to push through, they totally disregard when some projects need this many variances and special use permits, like with Stewart's and like with me in the town of Poughkeepsie by over the road. They totally, it just tells you if you need that many variances, it's not a fit for the area. And the zoning board and the town of Poughkeepsie and the supervisor should really get their act together and do what is right by the residents and not by a business owner. I've been here 50 years and I am quite frankly totally disgusted the way I have seen the town of Poughkeepsie operate. And I sure hope they start changing their attitude and do the right thing. That's all I'm asking. Please do the right thing and follow your laws. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, may I speak?
Sure. Could you say who you are?
Gail Mills, Camelot Road.
What's your name?
Gail Mills.
Ms. Mills, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what would you like to say?
I'm just, with the Stewart's gas station. Again, I just have the question of the rules are in place for a reason, and it doesn't seem to be a bona fide reason to change those rules for the gas station. But also the safety that's involved. You also have school buses that are going past that intersection constantly in the morning and in the afternoon. And with the added traffic of the cars and the safety of the children and the buses that are going to be involved, that's another secondary problem. Aside from that, you have the safety of kids that are waiting for buses and things like that. The gentleman is true. The people are not going to wait at that light at Route 9 to turn. They are going to seek other ways, and it's going through the neighborhood, whether it be down through Camelot and Southgate, or whether it be the short gate, over to IBM Road. Either way, they're going to take a shortcut. It's going to bring them through residentials. You're going to have them on streets where kids are trying to get to school buses or things like that. It's just not a safe situation, and that's why the rule was put there, to make sure that we have a safe neighborhood. And why you want to break it is questionable. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Someone with a phone number ending with 922, did you want to say something? Okay, is there anyone else that wants to comment? Someone with a phone number ending in 371? Okay, I don't see anyone else requesting to speak on this. In that case,
Chair, I know that the applicant wanted to speak, but you can adjourn the public hearing portion before, or you can let the applicant say whatever it is they wanted to say tonight and then adjourn.
okay. So, the applicant, do you want to respond to any of those comments that were made so far tonight?
Yeah, if you would allow us a moment. I would just like to go through, to start off.
Mr. Glad, let me just swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do. Okay, so Alec Glad from Cuddy and Fader. We've submitted two pretty substantial application packets in writing. And our most recent one kind of responded to some of the issues that were raised at the last hearing. So I was just going to kind of run through some of those quick, and that before hitting on some of the 5 factors, and then a quick discussion about the precedent. So one issue that's kind of been consistently raised both at the planning board and here is fire safety. But the reality is this project doesn't create any fire safety. According to the most data Fire Protection Association, which is an authoritative source that collects this kind of data, service stations or gas stations only account for 0.0009% of fires per year. And for some context, more than 1/4 or 27% of reported fires occur in home environments. So clearly the risk of fire is so infinitely small. Stewart's has also submitted a gas install narrative as part of its last submission, which answer questions about how Stewart's system works. But in some, Stewart's safety precautions exceed those required by the state, the National Fire Protection Association. But most importantly, the Arlington Fire District has been reviewing this application every step of the way.
Right, I remember that last time.
And they have raised no concerns. Thus, there's really no fire safety issues, and this isn't going to pose, from a fire safety point, a detriment to the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood or community. So also traffic, as part of this application, we've submitted a traffic impact study, which concluded there was no impact, and this has been vetted by the town's traffic consultant. Rich is on the line from Mazer, who is Stewart's traffic consultant. So I would invite the board to please jump in if you have any questions as I follow up and go through some of these subtopics on traffic that have been raised. Last time, there was a lot of discussion about delivery trucks and concerns raised by them. But Stewart's delivery trucks only come from the north on Route 9 because that's where their distribution facilities are, and that's both for fuel and the convenience distributions. And we included this in our letter, but we'll agree to a condition of approval that the distributions or the deliveries only come from the north. And the southbound truck turning movements that were added to the plan, those were just included to show that it could be done at the request of the planning board. And again, I just want to emphasize that these truck deliveries are only 2 to 3 times per week. And the truck turning movements do show that they can adequately access or exit the site via Southgate. And this fact too has been vetted by the town's traffic consultant. And to the extent there's any concerns about queuing, that will occur on site when the trucks are trying to exit. Also, school traffic that was just mentioned in regarding conflict. There's only 11 total buses that enter and exit Southgate Drive during the weekday peak periods. And our traffic impact study was conducted during a non-COVID situation last September. Therefore, full school traffic was captured. And again, this traffic impact study objectively shows that there is no traffic impacts. Laser took videos from their field observations, so that's how we were able to determine it. And this is factual data from an expert in traffic, which has been vetted and confirmed by the town's traffic expert. Further, this isn't the only access point from the school. IBM Road and Hopkinsville Road from the north, and they're equally efficient, meaning that they're the same distance. So buses coming from the north use that alternate route, and then buses coming from the south go in through Southfield. Also, signal timing and the wait at that intersection has been something that's discussed. And I think we addressed this, but just briefly again, there aren't any significant delays at the Southgate intersection, and the project will not create any additional delays, which we this if the board has more questions. And this was reaffirmed in the signal timing memo, which we submitted to the ZBA. And the most important fact about this is Mazer's field operation established that the Southgate be cleared during each cycle of the traffic signal, which means that the traffic signal is not overburdened. The DOT has also given conceptual approval, and so there won't be any detriment to the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood community. For noise, Mazer also submitted a sound memo that there won't be any increase in noise over the levels. In fact, Route 9 will overshadow any of those from the site activities. Stewart's also provided a photometric lighting plan prepared by Red Leonard Associates, which shows that there are no light impacts beyond the boundary of the site, as well as this shows full compliance with the town's requirements. And this too is objective, factual evidence from an expert showing light will not cause a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. So, big picture balancing test, none of the variances create a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood community. And it's important not to forget the context of the development. This is an existing commercial site and a highway commercial corridor along a major 6-lane platted highway. Stewart's isn't proposing application along some sleepy suburban street. And it's important to note that we're reducing the scale of existing development. We're reducing the square footage by over 4%, while increasing green space and better orienting the site relative to the nearby residential district. And because of the commercial nature of the site itself and the surrounding area, with the Red Lobster, the deli, the Ford dealer, there's effectively no change in the neighborhood community, only an improvement. And I say it's an improvement because the proposed development is better oriented relative to the adjacent district. It reduces the scale of existing building while removing the existing eyesore from the site. And while I say this is an improvement, Stewart's doesn't have to prove any benefit to the town under the statutory balancing test. This is just a persuasive argument tool. How could there be a detriment if there's an improvement? But all we have to prove is that there isn't a detriment to the health, safety, or welfare, which is a low threshold which we meet. And just to quickly turn to some of the 5 factors and specific variances, like the rear yard and front yard setback variances. The rear yard variances from the Red Lobster parking lot. The front yard variances from the very back corner of the building near Southgate Drive, not another property. Stewart's property line is actually set back from the edge of that roadway, and the intermittent zone is grass, and that's where actually Stewart's is proposing some tree plantings. In positioning the building on site is an improvement to the nearby properties by providing some light and sound attenuation from the site activities, including the operation of the field dispensers, which are located in front. So this means that the building is acting as a buffer between the residential district and the active portion of the site. And if the building where it is were shifted more north on the site to maybe lessen the front yard variance or even the 500-foot separation, it wouldn't remove the need for it, and it would not screen the active portion of the site as well. And other features like the dumpster enclosure would have to be shifted towards the residential district on the other side of the building, because right now it's actually near the Red Lobster. For first 5 factors, granting the setback variances will not produce an undesirable change in the character in the neighborhood. Same thing with the pump topper sign variances. This project site abuts Route 9 where they'll be visible, if at all. They're relatively small, only 2 square feet. And the smallest sign Stewart's can source. And this is also a variance that Stewart's passed in 2018. And then, we touched on a bunch of this in our correspondence, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I just wanted to briefly give an overview of the 500-foot separation variance and the effect on the character of the neighborhood. First, I want to note that the separation distance is measured from the nearest point of the facility, which in this case is the very back of the convenience store. Residential property line, not the house itself, so the house is actually set back a little farther. But in reality, it's the fuel dispenser rather than the rear of the building that will be the active part of the site. And the closest fuel dispenser is located 170 feet from the residential property line, which is 100 feet farther than the variance that we're seeking. And this is sited as far from the residential district as the site will allow. And the entrance to the store is on the building, or is on the side of the building opposite from the residential district. And as I mentioned, the building will actually act as a buffer in addition to the main. Also, the site is set at a lower grade in the surrounding area, meaning Stewart's will not be a visual destination in the district because it's set up. We'll look out over Stewart's from Route 9. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like we mentioned earlier, an existing developed site along a commercial corridor, along a busy highway next to a variety of commercial uses, and has developed as such for the last 50 years or more. And the proposed Stewart's fits with this character of the neighborhood. And like I covered at the start, there won't be a detriment to the nearby property, fire safety, no traffic, no noise, no light impacts by placing this project here. So based on the totality of this information, the 500-foot separation variance, we argue, will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, nor pose a detriment to the nearby properties. Now moving on to some of the other factors quick, such as substantiality. Measuring substantiality isn't just a simple mathematic formula, and the context of the area can cut against a finding of substantiality. And here, this is a development of an existing commercial lot in a commercial zoning district and a commercial corridor along Route 9 that isn't altering the character of the neighborhood. But even if the variances are deemed substantial based on the percentage variation from the required standard, substantiality alone does not justify denying the variance. And as we have demonstrated, the variances don't produce an undesirable effect on the character of the neighborhood, adversely impact the physical and environmental conditions, or otherwise generally result in a detriment to the health, safety, or welfare in the community. Therefore, the substantiality factor alone does not weigh the grant of the variances. And then the last point that I want to make is I just want to hit on precedent quick, because there's also been a lot of discussion of this. On this point, we're not asking the board to rubber stamp our application, nor have we said that. But like we noted in our letters, the ZBA is bound by law to follow their own and this as a matter of precedent. So in 2014, we granted a variance to site a motor vehicle services facility within 25 feet of the residential district. And this decision was actually held up by the Appellate Division Second Department. And the 2014 decision is similar to Stewart's requested variances in nearly all respects. The subject property was located in the Highway Business District. The site was the location of the former motor vehicle services facility, as well as a residential apartment. The applicant was proposing to have 8 fueling sources. The site was located along a busy thoroughfare, Turnpike. The neighborhood consisted of a similar mix of uses. There were commercial buildings, self-storage facility, a classic car showroom, and also nearby residences. And that applicant was also seeking several variances, such as front, rear, and site. And it was located, like I mentioned, near a residential district and single-family property. But unlike the 2014 decision, our application request, isn't as substantial as those being requested in 2014. First and foremost, the 2014 decision permitted a motor vehicle service facility to be sited 25 feet of the residential district, whereas Stewart's is seeking to site its building 73 feet. The 2014 decision convenience store was bigger. It was 4,500 square feet, where Stewart's is only proposing 2,696 square foot convenience store. Dutchess Turnpike wasn't nearly as busy. It experienced an average of approximately 10,000 vehicles per day, whereas Route 9 surpasses that count in 3 hours. Route 9 experiences an excess of 4,000 vehicles per hour. The 2014 decision lot was smaller. It was only 0.81 acre, whereas Stewart's is 0.94. But most importantly, the proposed motor vehicle facility was not separated from the residences by a road like Stewart's is. The 2014 facility was adjacent to and right next to a residential property. Furthermore, the decision highlighted that although it was 25 feet away, the important aspect of it was the pumps, which was the active part of the site. And there, in the 2014 decision, they were 145 feet from the nearest residential boundary, but here we're farther, we're over 170 feet away. So Stewart's variances, and the point we're making is that they're clearly less intense, less substantial, and certainly less intrusive on the nearby residential district than the 2014 decision in every way. And the courts have established that an official or agency that deviates from an established ruling must provide an explanation, and absent a valid legal justification for the change in its interpretation, a reversal is required. So given that Stewart's is seeking lesser relief in the 2014 decision, Stewart's respectfully submits that there is not a valid justification for deviating from the established ruling. And by no means does granting the variances require that every other gas station seeking a variance be granted. There's 7 or 8 or more metrics what could differentiate a future application and call for a denial. Thankfully, this happens to meet or exceed every one of those from the prior variance. I just happen to be gifted a good set of facts. So just because you approve this doesn't mean you have to approve every future request. Each requires an individualized assessment of the facts. So just for an example, the lot could be smaller than 0.81 acres. The facility could be closer than 25 feet. The facility could be farther than 25 feet, but the pumps are closer than 145. The road could have less daily trips than Dutchess Turnpike or Route 9. There could be more residences surrounding the property. It could be less well lit at night, like we showed at the last meeting. There may be a light impact. So there's a myriad of ways where the board could distinguish this decision here. And just let me be clear that we statutory balancing test and are thus entitled to the variance. Whether there is a precedent or not, this is just another layer of the analysis and sort of a bonus to Stewart's as to why we are entitled to the relief that we seek. You know, just to say you're kicking open the door for unbridled development couldn't be farther from the truth than the law prescribes. So we're requiring the applied for. Just a quick note, housekeeping procedure. We get a letter committed to Thursday. We today. And all I have to say about that is just the planning board properly assumed lead agency after the notice, and the negative is valid and binding on this board. And no way do the claims raised by the opposition affect the proceeding for this board. This is a board issue. So, you know, unless there's questions, that's all I have to say. Secret.
Okay, so I'm sorry, are we done?
And we're available for any questions. We of course have a full project team.
Before I open up to any questions from any of the board members, I understand there are at least some more people that want to comment. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is Sarah Kapowski and Jason Zuber would like to speak.
All right, how about Jason first?
So, Mr. Zuber, I don't know if I'm assuming you're on the phone, on the website. You can unmute yourself. If you can't, raise your hand and we'll locate you and unmute you.
Hello?
There you go. Go ahead.
Jake,
I just wanted to speak.
Okay,
sir,
Mr.
I'm sorry,
Zuber?
what was your name? I can't hear, so what did you,
Can you hear me?
yeah, what's your name?
My name is Jason Zuber.
Jason Zu. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes. I swear.
Okay, what would you like to say?
So I just wanted to comment on something that the lawyers from Stewart said. I heard that it was illegal for deliveries to come from Albany, as like Albany's like conventional gas. And, you know, being a resident from the area, I don't understand why there needs to be another gas station. I feel like we have way too many like in the area, especially around, you know, for mines, factory areas. I think it's ridiculous to implement another gas station. I don't understand why they can't just have it as a convenience store. What bothers me is that I've heard, you know, hundreds of people sending in emails, letters. I've spoken to colleagues of mine, neighbors, and, you know, they all have the same idea, the same mindset. I believe it's, you know, your duty to implement what we believe in and sort of prohibit this from being built. There's too many fumes, too many, you know, light pollution, sound pollution. It's way too much going on in the area for us to even bother with allowing this sort of corporation to, you know, build another gas station in our area. I mean, I know a bunch of family members and I that come visit, we have a lot of asthma issues, and seeing that this would be built right next door would greatly deteriorate our health.
Okay, was that it?
As of now.
Okay. There was a Raven that wanted to speak.
Raven's name is Nancy, according to chat.
So Nancy, are you there?
If you're on the phone, you can hit *6 to unmute.
Hi.
Hello?
Are you able to hear me now?
Sure.
Yes.
Is this Nancy?
Yes, this is Nancy.
All right,
Nancy, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Nancy, what's your full name and then
my
what would you
name-
like to say?
Sure. My name is Nancy Morris, and I'm a resident at 56 Robin Road. I've lived here for 26 years. And the recent changes outside of our neighborhood on Route 9, I was not involved in them. Maybe there were other meetings to discuss these places going up for business, like the OK Corral or whatever it's called, the Golden Corral. When the bank moved up their location, you know, I actually the bank I used. However, I had no idea the impact it would have on the neighborhood. And my gosh, my neighbors as well. The light from that restaurant, the amount of traffic that now comes through the neighborhood and in that area right on IBM Road is sometimes dangerous. People that are coming in to use the bank, they drive recklessly, not cautiously at all. And it's a great concern. And now having this proposed gas station and convenience store, if I'm wrong at that, then correct me, I think is just insane. And I get it. I do a lot of planning from where I work, a lot of strategizing. You can do so many reports. You can do so many and say so many things based on what you think might happen, but you're not going to know it until it actually happens. So I'm just very concerned for my neighbors, for the children in my neighborhood. My children are all grown now, but still, you know, I am a resident and I am very concerned, and I really hope that the board will listen to the residents who have to live here. I don't care about other Stewarts and other places and all this, you know, strategies and whatever, you know, it's going to impact us here. And I really hope that you guys will use wisdom in making the decision to allow them to put this business there. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a Sarah Kapowski? If I said that right?
Sarah, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself. Or maybe the host, the moderator, can unmute you.
Trying, doesn't seem to let me.
Something happened here.
Maybe she doesn't have a mic? Yeah, I can't unmute. Maybe she did.
Sarah, you look like you're still muted.
Hello, is anything happening?
Is that Ms. Kapowski?
No. So Sarah seems to be having technical issues.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to comment on this?
I said I reserve my comments till next month. I just want to make one comment.
Oh. All right, come on, let's step up.
I'm Eric Cole. All right.
You're still under oath from the last time, right?
Sure.
Go
All
ahead.
right, my name is Eric Cole. I'm from Keenan Bean. I represent Molk Industries, Molk Inc., the owner of the Sunoco station at 2194 South Road. Obviously
We
have-
can't hear Mr. Cole. Can he go near a microphone?
This is not a microphone?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll try to
Much
talk
better,
loud.
thank you.
I'll try to talk loud. All right, so we have many problems with this application. Obviously, we've submitted 4 letters. I'm just going to talk about one issue, and that's the precedent that the applicant cited. And he's pointed to the Malabar parcel at 792-802 Dutchess Park Turnpike. But this is easily distinguishable from the proposed project in front of the board today. The Malabar parcel already had been used as a gas station, at least since the early 50s, possibly since before the 1930s. The Stewart's redevelopment project is not replacing an existing gas station. It's replacing a car wash and an Italian restaurant. The new use will obviously be more intense with a higher volume for extended periods. The Malabar parcel was created at a time prior to the institution of the 500-foot buffer rule, prior to the institution of the 2-acre minimum requirement, when there were few, if any, restrictions on, locating gas stations. At this time, the town was not developing according to a sustainable land use plan and had yet to adopt a zoning ordinance. There's no gas station on the Stewart's lot when the requirements were adopted in 2013. Okay, residents who purchased their property near the Malabar parcel did it knowing there was a gas station in the area and could evaluate and consider the risks of residing near such a facility. Residents who purchased their properties near the proposed Stewart site were not given this opportunity. They bought their houses with the expectation that there would be no gas station constructed here because they looked at the town zoning code. Okay, residents have a right to expect that the zoning regulations will be applied and not ignored. Certainly not modified to allow a variance unless there's a valid basis in the record. There is no valid basis in this record. This is a self-created hardship simply because Stewart decided they wanted to build their project here. So look, granting all these variances will obviously set a dangerous precedent, will obviously cause problems down the road. I'll get into that more next month. I just wanted to talk about the precedent issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, were you able to overcome your technical difficulties? Okay, is there anyone else that wants to comment on this application?
Hi, I'm Nathaniel Parrish. I previously talked to your board, and I have my resume, and the client is in your records, but I'll be happy to testify now.
I want you to state
Like
your name
it's
again,
sworn in?
please.
What was your name?
Hello? Nat Parrish, do I get sworn in?
Yes, Mr. Parrish, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I absolutely do, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Nat Parrish, for the record. I've previously appeared before your board and supplied my name and address as well as my professional resume. My comments tonight supplement those I've previously made to your board, as well as the extensive and detailed comments that are transmitted by Keenan Bean, a client's attorney, and which Eric Colas supplemented tonight. As your board initiates its review of the pros and cons of the long array of variance requests, I believe it must first make a determination on whether a use variance is required for the 500-foot distance violation. I've discussed that in detail in my previous letter to your board on the subject, but I'd like to summarize that. There is no question at all that a gas station is not a permitted land use at this location. That's your code. There's no question the state statute dealing with variances requires a use variance for applications which seek permission for a land use which is not permitted by the zoning code. Those are unequivocal facts that you can't deny. The fact that the town's zoning code prohibits this use by using a numerical distance in no way affects the conclusion. The town could very well, instead of setting 500 feet, it could have made a map and put that as a map exhibit in the zoning code, and it would have had exactly the same meaning. I don't believe the applicant as of August 9th. I'm not sure what he said tonight because the acoustics were so horrible. But as of August 9th, the applicant has not provided any information on why a use variance should be granted, In addition, the use variance is also required for the violation of land use provisions of the overlay district requirements of the zoning code. And I think Keenan Bean, in its letter to the board today, has explained why this project is now in violation of the overlay district provisions in your zoning code. And again, that requires a use variance because it is a use not permitted by the overlay zoning code. As a planner who's drafted and reviewed many zoning codes, I caution the boards accepting the applicant's argument that precedent requires your approval of their bucket list of various requests. Keenan Bean, is in your letter to the board, the discussion tonight, established the totally different fact pattern of the project which the applicant presents for their precedent argument. But there is a precedent argument that your board needs to consider. Essentially, if your zoning board were to approve this long list of variances for a land use not permitted on this site, it would in effect be establishing that any applicant can totally ignore the zoning code of the town of Poughkeepsie, as it will be the ZBA which will decide whether or not the zoning code should be followed. And I do not believe that that's a precedent that your board would want to establish. Thank you. I've tried to adhere to your 3-minute limit.
Thank you very much. Finally, is there anyone else?
We have Saeed Shakil. He raised his hand, but he can't be unmuted. There you go. Saeed?
Mr. Shakil, can you unmute yourself?
He's unmuted.
Do you want to comment on this application? There you go. Mr. Shakil?
Hello?
Mr. Shakil?
Hello, this is Syed Shakil.
Okay.
Mr. Shakil, do you swear or affirm that the
This
testimony
is
you're
Syed
going-
Shakil.
Can you hear me? Mr. Shakil, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to
I
provide tonight?
see your lips movement. I don't hear anything.
Paul?
I can guess what you said. I do, but I don't hear anything. My name is Syed Shakil. I live in this area, Speckenkill, 15 years. And when we bought the house, we thought the Speckenkill is a good district where our children will go to school. And but now children are not done, and a gas station is coming up is not we ever expected a gas station would come in the area, especially entrance of our street. And if that could be ignored, I think it'll be in the best interest of the residents of this Speckenkill. That's what I wanted to say. If you hear me, fine. Otherwise, I can say it.
Okay, so we heard you, Mr. Shakil.
Do you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, did any members of the board have any questions of the applicant? Christine?
No questions.
Tony?
No, I have no questions.
Larry? Larry, did you have any questions?
I'm sorry, no questions.
Okay. Phyllis?
No questions.
Okay. Art?
Are we allowed to ask if they've looked at other sites? Is that?
Yeah, that's one of the things is if there are alternatives to this, I suppose.
My question would be exactly that. With all the empty land on Route 9, or all the buildings that could be knocked down and or reused, why wouldn't stewards look at one of those? If you look at Bonefish Grill just down the road, that entire building is empty. It would get you off Southgate Drive, even though it would still impact the station across the street. Location-wise, it would be safer. And there are other properties up and down Route 9 to the north of your location that are probably viable. Why are you only interested in the location you're looking at now?
So I can't speak to why Stewart's picked this location, but from a legal perspective, and that element of the test is that it's whether there's an alternative to the benefit the applicant seeks. The benefit we are seeking is to build the station at this location. So whether or not there is, other property within the town, the courts have said, that is irrelevant for considering this factor. It's the benefit the applicant seeks, and we're seeking to construct at this location.
And I believe we have to look at the benefit to the neighbors too, don't we? Or
Yes.
detriment to the neighbors?
Well, no, benefit to the neighbors, just the detriment if there is any detriment to the neighborhood. But we don't have to prove a benefit to the neighbors.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And so I just want to know, are you able to comment on the issue about the benzene that was brought up earlier in the meeting?
I think that would be a question for Chad, if maybe he has anything. We can maybe talk about Stewart's protocols.
Chad from Stewart Shops, we did submit a narrative to the board that explains our installation and how we go well above and beyond any state requirements and any code requirements regarding the type of tanks, number of walls in the tanks, piping, etc. I know one comment from the public tonight was mentioning during deliveries there are vapors. There are no vapors. They're contained during deliveries. They go back into the truck. They go back to where we buy gas. So it's always contained. There's never a release. So That's all in the narrative that we submitted to the board.
Okay. Then, unless anyone else wants to make another comment, I would make a motion to adjourn this until the September 14th meeting.
I would second that.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then this is adjourned until September 14th. Thank you. Next is item number 3, which is Jeanette Kielmeyer, 14 Patricia Road. Is the applicant available? Is anyone available from 14 Patricia Road?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
This is Jeanette Kilmeyer.
Ms. Kilmeyer, do you swear or affirm that the
This is
testimony...
Jeanette Kilmeyer.
Can you hear me? Ms. Kilmeyer, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're
Yes,
going
I
to
can.
provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What would you like, tell us a little
I
bit about your application.
I am applying for a variance to legalize an existing shed at 14 Patricia Road, which has been there since 1987. My parents had put this shed up back then, and I highly doubt, in fact, I know they did not know that there were any requirements of how far from the lines that the shed could be put down. And I know the next door neighbor at 12 Patricia Road submitted a letter, which you have, stating that there is no problem with the location of the shed where it is. And that's what I'm looking, just to get the variance on the shed being there.
Okay. Anyone from the, anyone want to comment on this application? Okay, then, any members of the board have any questions? Christine?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Larry?
No questions.
Phyllis?
Questions?
Okay, Art?
No questions.
Okay, then, unless there's any objection, I will move to close the public hearing.
Second that.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. So you can either wait for the whole rest of the meeting, or you can find out tomorrow whether the application is approved or denied. All right?
Okay, so I can just call the zoning board tomorrow and find out?
You can, yes. Or you can stay and watch the whole proceeding.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. And then I will find out at the end.
You'll find out. If you can- Okay,
Okay, well, thank you so much.
all right.
Okay.
Next is number 4, Division Street, Patricia Knight. Patrice, I'm sorry.
This is Pat Knight. I'm here.
Hi, Ms. Knight, excuse me, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I will. And I just wanted to mention that Art Glynn, who I think met with the zoning board, he can't get in. He's having technical difficulties. I have him on the phone. So I may be a little delayed if you ask me a question to make sure I get his opinion as well, okay?
Okay. So the last time we were here, there were some questions about the setback from the leach fields and the height of the house. I also understand that there's been a change in the diagram to reduce or to remove a roof on the side of the house in going into the side yard setback. Is that correct?
Yes, yep.
Okay, so the variance you're looking for now is just from the side of the house and does not include that roof line, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Okay, then I'm going to open it up for any comments from the public. Anybody want to comment on this application?
Larry,
This isn't gonna be,
I'm making the pancakes and then I have to go on for the meeting.
Okay. Anyone from the public that wants to comment on this? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody or seeing any hands raised. So do any of the board members have any questions? Christine?
I don't have any questions.
Tony?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Phyllis?
I have no questions, thank you.
Larry?
No questions.
Art, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, I would note for the record that we had requested some additional information from the applicant at the last meeting, which included a letter indicating that the Department of Health required some setback from the leach fields. That's in the record. And also we requested some architectural drawings of the elevations of the house, and that's also in the record. So unless there's any other questions or anything anyone else would add, I'd move to close the public hearing on this matter.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, then the record's closed. Ms. Knight, you can wait around and watch this interesting meeting, or you can call tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is number 5. Number 5, 47 Kingwood Drive. There's a request from the applicant to adjourn this until September 14th, 2020. Any objection to that? So I would move to adjourn item number 5, 47 Kingwood Drive, to the September 14th meeting.
Second?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that's adjourned to September 14th. Next is for new business, item 6. Number 6 and 7, Christine Baker, 16 Saddle Rock Drive. Is someone from that applicant here?
I'm here.
Okay.
Ms. Baker, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay. Why don't you tell us what you want to do?
Well, hi, I'm Christine. I'm here we want to create an accessory apartment for my parents. And we want to do this by converting our downstairs into an apartment for them, putting a little kitchen, have their family room, and then under the addition in the back of my house would be their bedroom. And it would just follow the line of the house, and it would only go 6 feet to the back of my house. So we need a special use permit for a variance for this apartment because it's greater than 400 square feet, and a side yard variance to the right of my house because of the change of the zoning from the original construction. And that's why we're here.
Okay, so you reside at the house, is that correct?
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
and it needs to be owner occupied, so you intend to maintain that?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm
And,
not going to leave my parents with my husband.
okay. All right. You have town water and sewer?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the public on this application?
Zoom is like that, sometimes that happens. But now you're on it, so we're.
No, I just wanted to know, could I have done that?
All right, I don't see any response to that. So let's see if the board members have any questions. Christine?
Yes.
Yes, that's me. Can you tell us how you will access that apartment?
Yeah, the drawings, I guess we were just looking at them. They're not well. There's going to be another door in the back of the house that's going to be installed for them to access it.
Yeah, you can see on the drawings that we submitted that it's part of the 20 by 20 addition that you see. So there's going to be like a small hallway but there's gonna be an access door to get outside from the living room that is gonna be exiting out underneath the deck that's gonna be above that.
Thank you.
Or they can come in the front door, or they can go through the garage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Tony?
I'm good, thank you.
Larry?
No questions.
Phyllis?
So when I look at the drawings, the kitchen is going to be the extra 6, because I was at the site. So a part of the kitchen and the living room come under
That's
the
in the
current
existing-
deck?
No, that's in the existing house already, ma'am. The addition is only gonna be the bedroom and the office, which you see coming
Oh.
from the back of the house, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm
So
looking at
the
it
rest-
the wrong way.
So
That's
it's
okay.
fine. The rest of the construction is in the original confines of the house.
Okay. Okay,
And-
that's
and
great.
you-
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
Okay. Art?
No, when we were out there, we thought it was going to be upstairs edition, but it's downstairs. Makes it a lot easier. Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah, yes, sir. The space takes up underneath of an existing 3-season room that's already a part of the house.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lisa, this is an unlisted action. Do we have to do the short form stuff now or at the deliberation portion?
At the deliberation.
Okay. Then, if there are no comments from the public, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second that.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. And again, you can stay tuned or you can call in the morning.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great night. Oh, we're not done. We have another one. That's right.
We're doing 6 and 7 together, so.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
Next is number 8. Cody Wilkinson, 55 Hammond Drive. Is there anyone there from, oh.
Decided to do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay, you took the night off? All right.
Long wait, too. Sorry.
Okay. You can state your name and.
Cody Wilkinson?
Mr. Wilkerson,
Oh, okay.
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, why don't you describe your project?
So I'm requesting a front yard setback variance to put a front porch on the front of my house in hopes to improve the functionality and appearance to the house. The original plans on the porch was to come out 8 feet from the front of the house, which does reduce the setback from the property line to 29.29 feet, and my zone is set back for 30 feet, so I'm requesting a 1-foot variance to complete that project.
So Lisa, I have a question. The cover sheet for the denial, he was denied a request for a 1-foot variance. The agenda listed as the difference between, well, 0.71 feet. Can we grant him, if we were to grant the application, can we grant 1 foot or are we limited to the 0.71 feet?
What?
I think you can grant a full foot. I don't think the extra 0.29 of a foot will, no one will be upset about that. I don't think it's legally challengeable, let me say it that way more precisely, if you wanted to grant the full foot to give the applicant a little bit of leeway.
Okay. All right, thanks. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this? Okay, then I'll open it up to the board. Christine, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Tony?
Have no questions.
Larry?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Art?
No questions, but I want to thank you for coming in for such a small variance. Thank you for at least doing that.
It would probably be easier, rather than try to communicate over, technology and try to just, do it the right way. And
Just the fact that you showed up to ask for such a small variance is appreciated. Thank you.
I always try to do things the right way. I'd rather do that than have to try to be sneaky and deal with it later on. So.
Okay, I don't have any questions, so unless...
The alarm's going off. Your phone.
And Larry, if you wanted to mute yourself, that would probably be good.
Oh.
Unless there are any other comments, I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, and once again, you can wait and see how this turns out, or you can call in the
The
morning.
excitement is unbearable, right?
Next is number 9, John and Beth Van Nostrand, 7 Hawkins Street.
All right, you're here.
Mr. and Mrs. Van Orstrand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
It is.
We do. We do.
Okay, why don't you describe what's going on, what your application is?
So, application is for a shed that has been on the property for 20 years. And we're looking for a variance from the rear line and from the right side line. So the rear line is basically, it's close to a fence line that's there. It's about a 1 foot 4 inches. Variance is, I believe, is supposed to be 10. And from the right side, it's a 5 foot variance instead of 10. So
Okay.
we're looking as per the maps that we have submitted. I also submitted an aerial map that I printed out online there. And we're just looking to now get a variance for it and do the right thing.
Okay. Any comments from the public regarding this application? Okay, I don't see any response, so are there any questions from the board? Christine?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Larry?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Art?
No questions.
Okay, unless there are any other comments or any other questions, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and again, you can wait or call in the morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next is number 10. Elmont Farms, 720 Van Wagner Road. Is there someone here from there?
If you're on the phone and you're muted, you can hit *6 to unmute.
Hello?
There we go.
Yes, I'm here. Elmont Farms.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Richard Ponzini. I'm the agent for Elmont Farms.
Mr. Ponzini, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, why don't you describe the application?
We're going to build we want to build a 40 by 80 by 17 or 16 high structure right against our silo. I believe it's a steel manufacturing company with a slab cement foundation. We've owned the property since '83, my family, and we had a barn that unfortunately burned down, which was right on the border of Hyde Park and Poughkeepsie, right there. A little bit over about 100 feet. We haven't done anything yet, but now we want to try and rebuild this structure.
Okay. Anyone from the public want to comment on this? All right, I don't see or hear any response from any questions from the board. Christine?
No questions.
Tony?
Just for placement, it's going closer to the brick silo, in between the two silos, closer to the brick silo.
We just cleaned up. We had a local farmer clean up and clean around that old red brick silo that's still there.
Right.
The silver silo we're gonna go closer to that one, right in front of our pond to keep it over. We own the property. We own the property in Hyde Park there and the town of Poughkeepsie line. We own both of them, so we just want to. We're trying to keep it, 75, 100 feet away, closer to our silver silo.
Okay. Thank you.
Larry?
No questions.
Phyllis?
There are a number of outbuildings on that property. None of them would be adequate for the storage.
The main house there is a 2-family home, and then next to it is a barn that is not adequate for storage. Absolutely not. We have the tractor in there right now, but then there's an apartment upstairs, and the downstairs is a tool room, maybe 18 by 24 tool room, and it's not a storage room.
Okay, thank you very much.
We are an active farm now. We have a farmer on the property doing hay and alfalfa, and so we would like to have a place to put the hay.
Okay, was that your field across the street?
Across from the main house, yes, that's my field. Our field too, yes.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Thank you.
All right. No, we're doing our best to clean it up.
All right.
No questions.
Are you intending the hay will be sold, or are you doing it contract cutting, or what exactly are you doing?
It is an agricultural farm, and it's being hayed by Montebello Farms, and yes, he does have a lease, and he does sell the hay.
So, can you describe a little bit about the business? How many deliveries, how many pickups will be taken from after you hay?
He does well, depending on the year and the rain and how hay is. He did one cut so far this year, but we haven't had a lot of rain, so it hasn't been growing back. So I don't think it has much access. I don't think it has much to do with it's a quiet road there, and we own. I mean, it's not a public. I don't think it's a public nuisance. He comes in and out and gets his hay whenever the weather permitting.
Okay, that's all I have. Again, if anyone from the public that wants to comment on this? All right, I don't see or hear any response, so unless there's an objection, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second?
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And finally, this brings us to Locust Grove Crossing. 2736, 2738 South Road. Is there someone here from that application?
Yes, my name is Chris Laporta. I'm an engineer with Chase & Companies. I'm actually here pinch hitting for Chris Lapine and Karen Labruto, who are both on vacation this week. So I brought myself up to speed pretty well, but if you guys...
Excuse me, let me just swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do. So if you guys throw a tough curveball, I might need to punt, but I'll do my best here. So we're here for 3 variances. The first 2 I'll go over quickly. The density variance and the impervious cover variance. Those were 2 variances that were previously granted for 6 unit per acre to 7 unit per acre density and 40% to 48% impervious cover. Those were granted on April 8th of 2019, and those 2 variances have expired. The third variance, which is the new item here, is a sign variance for our signage, which is was submitted as 42 square feet, which includes the base of the sign, and 4 square feet is allowed. So I reviewed the town's comments on this and just wanted to go through the variance criteria and explain us here. So the question, if this presents an undesirable change of character in the neighborhood, I don't think it does, because this is an aesthetically pleasing sign. I looked at our landscaping plan. We are proposing to plant a black gum and 3 eastern hemlocks and 3 nannyberry viburnums around the sign, which are very beautiful plants. And the sign itself is proposed to be an Eldorado stone limestone with a profile of limestone Grand Banks, and the lettering itself is going to be backlit bronze lettering. So I think for those reasons that it's an aesthetically pleasing sign and doesn't change the character of the neighborhood. And would this be achievable by some method other than a variance? I took a look at this sign, and Locust Grove Crossing does have, it's a long name. Nearby developments such as the Greenbrier condominiums have different wording, which gives them some opportunity. For example, they use big letters for Greenbrier, and condominiums is just in very tiny letters. But they get their message across because they can say Greenbrier in big letters. Since our entire name is the name of our development, it presents a different way that it lays out on the sign. And also our lettering it's soft colored, the bronze letters with the stone backdrop. They're not as obtrusive to the view corridor, especially with the landscaping around them. For example, as you pass our development, you're going to see the Holiday Inn sign in big letters, which will be much more obtrusive to the view corridor if you pass. This is just a small residential multifamily district along US Route 9, which is generally a business highway corridor. About the substantiality, it does look like it exceeds the zoning code significantly with the 42 square foot request, but a lot of that is the base of the sign. We're using 10-inch lettering, which is not that big as you're driving by on US Route 9. I took a quick look at the size of the lettering on this sign, and the top row is 10 feet 8 by 10 feet 8 inches of 10-inch lettering, and the bottom row is about 7.75 feet wide of 10-inch. This gives a area of less than 16 square feet of just the lettering of the sign. I was looking at the zoning code. I wasn't really clear, but it says that the sign doesn't include the vertical, horizontal, and diagonal support, which could be considered the stone wall that we're building up, which is almost, it blends with the landscaping. So I thought that that really does, when you're looking at the numbers, when you think about it that way, it really does decrease the substantiality of this request. I couldn't think of any adverse impacts on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. This project did receive a negative declaration in June. And is this self-created? I would say no, because this is a new development, and they want to have a nice sign, and the way that restraints that I mentioned above are considered. This is really, in order to have the nice sign that's desired by the applicant, this is how it needs to be. So those are my thoughts on this application, and we'd be happy to hear any comment from the board and the public.
Okay, thanks. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this application? All right, I don't see or hear any indication, so members of the board, do you have any questions? Christine?
Where exactly is the sign going to be?
Let me pull up the plan. I think it's on the south side of the site, which is along the east side of Route 9.
Do you want to share your screen, or?
Yep, I'm pulling it up right now. I could share my screen. Let me see here. Share. All right, let me find either our site or landscaping plan should show the sign here. Maybe C180. Okay, I believe this is the sign right here on the corner of the site.
So is it going where the other one is now, essentially?
Actually, this would be on the north corner of the site, right? This is US Route 9 right here. So,
So this would be on the southbound side of Route 9, northwest corner of the site.
This lane right here would be northbound Route 9. So looking at the site, it would be the northwest corner of the site.
Okay.
I do have an aerial location of the site. I had a few things opened here. Sorry if my monitor displays a little funny. I have an ultra wide monitor. I hear sometimes on these Zoom calls that it can display a little bit funny. So here's the Holiday Inn Express, where this parcel right here.
So it's on the southbound side of Route 9.
Northbound.
But the northwest corner of the site.
Northbound side of Route 9, if you'd be heading northbound this way, right? Yeah. So the northwest corner of the site, if you look at the site, northwest.
And it's the southbound part of Route 9. Because you're on the west.
No, it's on the east.
We're on the east side of Route 9. On the northwest corner of Route 9. I think I'm describing that.
Yeah, so the orientation of the photo is north is to the top, Tony.
Correct.
So is this going where the other sign is right now?
Let me pop into Street View and see if we could see the other sign. I believe it would be where this sign is right now, the available sign.
No, where you're still.
I think it's more like over here on the corner, looking at the site plan or the landscaping plan here. Looks like it's right along. Here's US Route 9, and the sign is here on the northwest corner of the site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, no questions.
Okay, Phyllis?
Not to beat the sign, but it's gonna kind of be right across the street from Greenbrier sign, yes?
I believe so. I think this is the corner that Greenbrier has their sign on.
Is it going to be next to it or before it? Because you're going to use their access road.
If you're heading northbound, I think it's before their access road. They're on the other side of the access road.
Okay.
Pull the aerial back up here.
And your sign is going to be significantly larger than their sign.
I believe so. I was having a hard time. I was taking a look at their sign. I know a stop sign is, I believe, 30 inches by 30 inches, which is about what would that be? 6 point something square feet. And it looks like they're a little bit bigger than a stop sign, maybe a stop sign and a half. I mean, this is just me approximating looking at a picture, but I think if you look at the lettering size and that our you know, we're not going to have a bright yellow. We're going to have a bronze with the stone in the background. Yes, it is going to be bigger. I don't think it's, you know, that significantly bigger.
Okay, and then what was the delay? What was the because we did all of this once before and then the project just kind of sat, I guess.
Well, I'm hitting here for this project. I don't know the whole chronology, so I can't speak to that. But I could follow up via email if you would like.
No, it's all right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to clarify something. I think I got my directions confused. The sign would be on the south. The sign would be on the southbound side of Route 9,
yes,
on the west side of the road.
No.
On,
if you're heading north on Route 9, it's on your right.
Yes.
Just before Aladdin.
And right where I'm hovering the mouse right here, somewhere in this area, I believe.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Okay. All right. Art?
No, once again, I thought it was the Greenbrier sign that was going to come down. This is going to look very similar to that sign without the raised placard, correct? The stone is going to be very similar to what's there on the other property.
I believe it's a similar stone. Okay. We called for, let's see here, an Eldorado limestone Grand Banks profile. No, I don't know exactly what theirs is, but I was looking at images of the different.
No, you don't have to. We're good. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. If there's anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this?
Yo.
And if you want to unshare your screen?
Oh, sure. Let me,
unless you want to show us something else.
Back up.
Okay. All right, any comments from the public? There's someone from an iPhone? Is there someone that wants to comment on this application? Okay, I don't see or hear any indication of any interest in a public comment, and so without objection, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Move.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That ends this part of the public hearings. Lisa, do we do the other business now, or do that at the end after deliberation?
That's up to the board, at the board's preference.
Whatever.
Okay, we'll do that at the end then. And then I'm going to suggest a 10-minute recess. Anybody object to that?
No.
Then I move that we go into recess until 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Is there a second to that?
See you then.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, I'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. The Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals is back in session. So, items 1 and 2 were adjourned till September 14th. That brings us to item 3, well, actually,
Item 8.
why don't we take it, because Mr. Wilkinson is here, we'll do number 8, if no one has an objection to that.
Nope.
Sounds fine.
All right, so this is an application for a 1-foot variance to put a front porch on a building. Does anybody have any concerns about it?
I don't.
I do not.
Larry? any-
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, then, there's no staff report, but I would make these findings, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. First of all, the variance is not substantial, and in fact, on this roadway, it really had no impact at all. There are other homes similarly described, and so I don't think that it will make an undesirable change. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method, I don't see how that can happen based upon the project that he wants to do. Whether it will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, I don't see that will have any impact. Whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, it is in the sense that he wants to build into the front yard setback, but that's not a reason to deny the application, and I would offer those findings for the board.
So moved.
We're going to do some full cutting. We're going to do one cutting tip and one cutting drill.
Who is that?
All you need for a cutting drill is a cutter, a golf ball, and a dart.
Hey.
Larry, you need to mute your phone.
Okay. Any discussion on this application?
Not for me.
All right, then Christine, do you mind making a motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 8. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Fine, just to be clear that this is an application for a 1-foot variance. Everyone's clear on that?
Yep.
Okay, is there a
Yes.
second to that?
Second.
All right, all
Second.
those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Who was the second on that motion, please? I heard 6 ayes, 6 seconds.
I second it.
Art? Okay, thank you.
Right?
Good night. You don't want to stay for the rest of it? Come on.
That's it. What did I just do with that?
The next one.
Okay, so that'll bring us back to number 3, 14 Patricia Drive. Road, sorry. This is an application to legalize an existing shed. Requires a rear yard variance of 8 feet and a side yard variance of 5 feet. Any comments on this?
No comment.
To put it.
No.
Essentially, right? That yard is pretty tight.
So then I would make, there's no staff report, so I'll offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood. I don't believe there will be, based upon the length that the shed has been there and the existence of other sheds in the neighborhood. Whether it can be sought by some other method feasible to pursue, not without removing it, which is not what the applicant's intent is. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, it is, but it's existed there for some time, and I don't believe that that's a reason to deny it. And whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions, I would say no. So as other sheds exist in the neighborhood, and this one has existed there for a long time. And whether it's self-created, as I understand it, this is passed through and through an estate, and therefore, actually, I don't think it's self-created. And I would offer those findings.
So moved.
Any discussion on this application?
No.
All right, Tony, do you mind doing a motion?
Okay, yes, I move that the board approve the request for the area variance and set forth in item number 3. This decision is based on a review of the application and testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of the site visits by the board members. In approving the variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. That's it.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that motion carries. That brings us to number 4, Division Street. Patrice Knight. This is an application for a side yard variance. As I understand it, the original request was for a 10.8-foot variance. However, I understand that they've modified their application, and actually, they only required 8.3-foot variance. Lisa, do you agree with that? They took out that roof overhang, which necessitates...
Oh, okay. So if there's no overhang on those steps, then yes, they only need the variance for the addition, correct?
Okay.
So what's that number, please? 8.3?
That's what I calculated, and as you
Okay.
know, I'm very familiar with first grade math, so. I would point out that the applicant did submit the documents that were requested, indicating that they had to, they needed a setback from the leach field, which required the building to move over to the other side yard. And there was a request for an architectural drawing of the building that was submitted also. There is no staff report, so I would offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will reduce the character of the neighborhood. This is simply a house. I don't see it making a change. This is, New Hamburg has very small lots. This is this one is relatively larger than most of the lots in New Hamburg. Whether it can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance, there's no way to fit this building on that lot based upon the limitations with the leach fields to accommodate the applicant's request. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, 8.3 on these lot size I believe is not substantial. Whether it will have adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Again, this is simply a residential house which meets all the other requirements or standards for a building in that zone. And whether the difficulty is self-created, it is in the sense that the lot prohibits the lot requires the use of above-ground leach fields and that's, in that sense, it's self-created, but that's not a reason to deny the application, and I would offer those findings.
Second that.
Move.
All right, any comments? Any discussion on this one? All right, then Larry, do you mind making a motion?
Me? Okay. That's number,
This is number 4.
number 4, okay. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 4. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and the chairman's report. In approving this variance, the board adopts its findings, the determinations as stated by the chairman.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Then all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right, then that motion carries 6-0. Number 5, did we move to adjourn that to September 14th?
Yes.
We did that? Okay. Then next is numbers 6 and 7. This is an application for a special use permit, as well as an addition. Let's see what that is. So they need for the, they're looking for a 5.3 foot variance for a side lot. For the side yard, and an accessory apartment. So this is an unlisted action. And based upon the short form environmental EAF, I would make a motion that a negative declaration on these 2 applications.
Second.
Any comments on that? Lisa, I can't hear you.
I was unmuted and then muted myself to talk. The negative declaration technically is only on the special use permit because the variance is a standard household variance. It's a type 2 action.
Okay, it has them both listed as unlisted, but, oh no, oh, you're right, okay, one is, okay. All right, so then, yes, this applies just to the accessory apartment.
And the board should vote on the variance first and then the special use permit, but you could do the neg deck at any time.
Okay. And so, all those in favor of the negative declaration?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Regarding the side yard variance, it's really in the same line as the house. It's just, as you recall from our site visit, it's right under the second floor, and it just extends into the rear some. And the only reason for the necessity for the side yard variance is because the house is too close to the side yard lot line. So, does anybody have a problem with this one?
I don't.
No.
No.
And I think there is a staff report.
I think the staff report is only for the special use permit part.
Yeah, that's right. Then, in that case, I would offer these findings. Whether an undesirable change will reduce in the character of the neighborhood. There's the lot line variance will have no change in the neighborhood. Whether it can be achieved by some other method other than an area variance, I suppose it's possible they could put the addition a different place on the house, but I think that this satisfies the applicant's desire. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, numerically it may appear that way, but since it's in the same line as the house, I don't believe it has any impact, and whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. Again, it will not have any impact. And whether it's self-created. It's self-created in the sense that they want to build in the footprint of the house, but that's not a reason to deny the variance. And I would offer those findings. And Phyllis, do you mind doing a motion on this? Unless
Not at
anybody
all.
did anybody have any comments on that? I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
Good.
Okay, then Phyllis, do you mind doing the motion?
Nope. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 6. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and the results of site visits by the board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Second.
That's it.
Any discussion on this? Then all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And next, for the special use permit. There was a question about whether the building would be owner occupied, and the applicant indicated that was so. There were some questions about access into the apartment. I think those were answered appropriately. Anybody have any comments about this one?
No.
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Then I would move to approve the request for a special use permit set forth in item number 7. Decision is based upon the review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony gathered during the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and the staff report, and that it does meet the criteria set forth in the town code. I'm so moved.
I'll second that.
Second.
Any comments on that?
Nope.
All right, then, all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next is number 9-7 Hawkins Street. This is an application to legalize an existing shed. They need an 8-foot 8-inch side yard variance and a 5-foot rear yard variance. Any comments on this one?
Yeah, I think there's.
It's a whole neighborhood where everybody has a shed, it seemed, when we were out there.
Right.
Yeah, this one was backed up to a shed right on the other side of the fence. It's been there for 20-plus years.
There's really no other place in that yard to put it.
Yeah,
They're so tight.
It was
All
in
right.
very good condition.
And it's fabulous, yeah.
And so I would offer these findings: whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties by the granting. The existing shed has been on the property for 20 years. It backs up to a shed on the neighbor's property, so I don't believe there'd be any undesirable change. Whether it can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? No, because unless he removed it, he needs the variance. And whether it's substantial. It is substantial numerically, but because it's been there for so long, I think it has little impact. And whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical, environmental conditions. I don't believe it will have any impact due to its existing there for so long. And whether it's self-created. I suppose it's self-created in the sense that that's where it was built, but it, in fact, may even have predated zoning. But in any case, that's not a reason to deny the variance, and I would offer those findings.
Second.
Move.
Any comments? Then Art, do you mind making a motion?
Number 9, right?
Number 9.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item 9. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearings, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts those findings, those set forth by the chair, and there are no other restrictions. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Then all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Then that motion carries 6-0. Next is number 10. This is Elmont Farms, 720 Van Wagner Road. This is a special use permit application to allow use of an agriculture excluding farm animals to permit the construction of a shed to store hay. This is an unlisted action, and so based upon the short form EAF, I move that there's a negative, that has a negative impact on the environment.
Second.
Second.
Any comment? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes then. So now regarding the special use permit for for the hay barn. Does anybody have anyone have any concerns about it?
I do not.
I don't have anything at all.
So Lisa, since the special use permit is solely for the construction of the pole barn, the fact that does the agricultural use impact, get considered at all?
It's actually, the special use permit is for the use only and not for the barn. It only got triggered because they want to build the barn. But apparently this property has been used, and whether it predated zoning or never needed a special use permit before or wasn't flagged, we don't know. But for these purposes, what the board is considering is actually the agricultural use on the property, and that's what the staff report is directed to. And more specifically, the barn, because it meets all the criteria for buildings on an agricultural use, would then be allowed as part of the granting of the special use permit.
Okay. There was not a staff report on this, though, was there?
There is the staff report.
There is?
And the staff report, yes, and
Okay.
it recommends approval and runs through the categories needed for the granting the analysis of the special use permit.
Okay, I must have failed to print that one out. Then, let's see, Christine, do you mind
Okay.
making a motion?
I will. I move to approve the request for a special use permit set forth in item number 10. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony gathered during the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and the staff report, and that it meets the criteria set forth in the town code. So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Any concerns about this one? All right, then, all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Then that motion carries. And that brings us to Locust Grove. There are a number of variances. There's a density variance as well as impervious, which has previously been approved and expired. I don't see that there's been any change in any condition that would cause us to change the original vote. Does anybody have any input on that?
I'm good with it.
No.
And then the only new thing was for the sign. And I will point out, Dutchess County felt this to be a matter of local concern. And so does anybody have any comments about the sign? There is a staff report, which I think recommends it.
I think it's, very, very modest and would be a benefit to that neighborhood.
It's a tasteful look. It's going to look nice. My only question is it going to block the view of the next sign? Or are they going to set it back just a little bit further? Do we know that?
I'm sure the planning board will look into that. I don't know that they've gotten final site plan approval for the location of the sign.
Okay.
Do we have a size for the Briarcliff or green, the Greenbrier? Briarcliff. Do we have a size for that sign listed anywhere?
There is probably a size in the file. It would cover only the sign and not the supports and the base. So I don't know how much relevance it would be for comparison purposes. But I don't have it before me, so we don't have it handy.
But then if you look at the next sign, which is that monstrosity for the Holiday Inn Express, this is very modest.
Well, I feel like we're comparing apples and oranges, but
Not really.
the new sign compared to the sign of the access road to the other place is, I just almost foresee them coming back with a new and improved sign as well. It's just,
We have the option of turning them down, correct?
I'm sorry?
We have the option of not allowing that if we so choose.
Well, yes, we do, but we also have the option of not allowing this sign. So I don't know how you manage one over the other. I'm just putting it out there, right? I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
And-
hard to,
Oh, I'm
I was
sorry.
just
go
gonna say,
ahead.
it's hard to guess how it compares to the other one size-wise, but that's,
Well, yeah, I think 4 square feet would be ridiculously too small. I think everyone can agree to that, right?
right,
And this
yes.
one seems to be pretty tasteful and is, I guess, consistent with one that's pretty close to it.
I also had a question about how what the measurement of the sign was, and we don't at this point have a determination because they got the information in so late. So they've measured the entire rectangle, but I think the way the code is written is you draw a line, the perimeter, whether it's a rectangle or a trapezoid or whatever it happens to be, around the letters. So I think that it's actually not a variance for the 43 square feet that they're seeking, or 42. I think it's a smaller number, but I don't think it's quite as small as the 10 feet and the 7 feet that they were saying. I think it's a little bit bigger than that because it would include the space between the lettering. But their assertion that it was about a 16 square foot sign is probably, so it's probably like a 20 or, somewhere in that vicinity. I don't think it's actually a 42 inch. So that the variance, I think it would be helpful if the board wrote their variance so that it was the sign as shown by the plans, on the plans, however that's meant to be managed, as opposed to the 42 square foot variance, because I think it's actually a much smaller variance than that.
And I also think that in comparing it with other signs along Route 9, we have to take into consideration where it exists. It's a bit more remote from some of the other signs that were mentioned tonight. And like Lisa said, the rectangle around the actual wording is a lot smaller than the actual perimeter of the sign that they're proposing. So I think there's nothing obtrusive about this sign.
Okay.
Did we go dead?
No, we're here.
So how do you think they did measure?
Looks like you just measured the base.
Yeah.
I thought they measured the perimeter of the entire pedestal.
It kind of looks that way, because I only came up with actually, I think, 22.7 square feet. If you just, even if you just did a rectangle, 10 feet, 8 inches long and, actually, and then 2 feet high.
The other thing is, this sign is a little bit north of the other areas we've had to consider over the last few months. That new, let's call it a new town square, just south of where Coyote Grill is now and where Foam and Wash will be soon. And I think that type of sign is going to be, like I said, a lot less obtrusive than anything else that the people are going to meet on the way further south on Route 9.
So you see how I just did a rectangle, and maybe, because this is apparently second grade math now, 10 feet, 8 inches, times 2 feet.
Can you share that?
So you want to limit it somehow to the area described in their application?
Sure.
Is that sufficient? Is that specific enough, Lisa?
Right, we have I'm looking for the sheet with the dimensions, and of course I can't pull it out in front of me. But I think if I link it to the sign as defined in that sheet, then we can.
Yes.
Okay, now I found it. So the information that's missing is the distance between the two, between the Locust Grove and the crossing.
It looks like
we
4
know that-
inches, right?
4
Looks
inches,
like
Lisa.
4 inches.
Oh, sorry, it is there.
It's-
Right, so then we're perfectly fine with the 2 foot by 10 foot 8 is the maximum.
Right.
So, yeah,
And I got that as
22.
21.67. Or if you want to say, 21.75.
so when I write it up, I will say that the board determined that the variance that was requested for the sign shown was actually not as substantial as put in the public notice, and that it was actually we'll do the official calculations, whether it's 22, I don't have them right now, but 22.7 or 21 and change, and therefore that's the variance that the board granted.
Right,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay. Tony, you want to do this?
Sure, and what is the actual variance that we're looking for?
There's a total of 3 variances. 2 of them were granted previously for density.
Right, but what is the new one on the sign?
I didn't do the number yet. Paul, are you comfortable with your number? You want me to,
I am comfortable with my number.
and can you repeat it for me so I can write it down?
21.67.
21.67 square feet. Thank you.
21.67. I don't know if I can remember that. I better write it down. And this is an area variance, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, and this is going to be on which item number? I'm sorry.
11?
it's item 11, and
Okay.
it's a total of 3 variances though for this one.
Okay,
Oh,
I move that.
I
the
would
board
point out that
approve-
this is an unlisted action where the planning board is issued a negative declaration.
Yes.
Okay, and I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in items number
Just 11.
just 11. We're just doing the sign.
No,
11 has 3 variances on it.
Oh, 11, okay. And 11. This decision is based on the review of the application, the testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this area variance, the board adopts the finding as set forth by the chair.
actually,
So,
There's a
right, it's
staff
the
report.
so since 2 variances were done before, the motion should say that the board finds that no substantial changes have been made since the first time the variances were granted, and adopts them for the same reasons that were set forth in the original variances. And as to the 3rd variance for the sign, the board uses the findings that are set forth in the staff report.
So,
So moved.
like I said almost before, in approving these 3 variances, the board finds that the 2 variances prior approved by the board have no substantial changes, but the 3rd variance has an approval of 21.67 feet for the sign. And in approving this variance, the board adopts these findings as set forth by the chair.
I'll second that.
Second.
Does that work?
except there was a staff report, right?
Well, the staff report is only for the sign, and for 1 and 2 are the same reasons that were used on the first go-round.
The previous.
And I'm sorry, there was a second on that? Any discussion? Anybody want to discuss this one?
No.
All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that carries. And there are
So are we
two,
crediting Christine or Art for that second?
Christine. Christine.
Thank you.
and I would make a motion to appoint the planning board as lead agency in the South Hills Common application, as well as Arlington Farms.
Let's take
So
a
moved.
Okay, any comments on that?
What are they? South Hills
One
Mall?
is, the South Hills Mall is just a change zoning
They're gonna put housing
district,
up?
and then the other one is Arlington Farms, that's the Malabar.
So South Hills is gonna put housing up there?
I
South
don't,
Hills Commons is looking for a change from the town board to allow this to be a multifamily instead of it's currently zoned R20. And then if they get that, they're rather looking for RM. And then if they get that, they're looking to put two multifamily, multi-story buildings that will have a total of 25 units in them. So it's at the very preliminary stages before the planning board. Nothing else has happened yet, but they're just circulating.
You broke a glass?
I'm sorry? Larry?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
And then Malabar is the same thing that the board had before on the first go-round. They haven't changed the plans at all. The only difference is they will be coming back to the ZBA for an additional variance because on the first go-round, they were combining two lots into one, and therefore the board, at the time, it was determined that they didn't need the variance for the same one that Stewart's is going for the minimum lot acreage. So now they're going to be required to get that variance, and they will be back. And they also have the same variance for the setback that they had the last time, in addition to the side yard variances that all went through the first. So that will be coming back before the board at some point.
did the county have it, do you know whether the county will have any input on that? What their position
I
will
know
be?
that they were circulated. It's just the initial, because it's only on for lead agency. I'm not sure that the planning board has determined that the current application is even complete enough to circulate. It was complete to circulate for lead agency, but I don't know if it was complete to go to county yet. And if it was, we haven't heard anything back from county yet.
All right.
But yes, we will have county comments for both boards prior to the boards taking action.
All right, because I have to recuse myself on that one, so.
Okay, on Malabar?
Yes. Simply because
Okay.
it's.
Do we have well, first let's finish, did we finish the vote on this?
I
And then
I
I'll-
abstained, I recused myself on the original vote.
I mean, for the lead agency. Did we
Oh,
finish the vote after tonight?
You think I should
Was there
recuse
a
myself
second and
on?
there was a vote?
I'm sorry?
Was there a second and the vote by the
Oh.
board to have the planning board consent to lead agent, zoning board consent to planning board being lead agency?
Yes, second.
All those,
Okay.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, do we have a vice chair or a second chair? Is it Christine for this? So that Christine will be in charge of this meeting if it becomes for Malabar?
Sure.
Or is there not a formal vice chair established?
There's not a formal vice chair yet. I'll let you know.
So we should put that on the radar so that when this does come back, we'll know who will be handling it.
Okay. If there's no other business, then I would make a motion to adjourn.
I would second that.
Christine, did you want to say hello before we adjourn?
Oh,
Chrissy?
Oh.
You're mute, hold on.
Yep. Hi, I'm Christina Graneri. I'm the new zoning administrator. I
congratulations.
didn't really work on any of these. Thank you. I didn't really work on any of these projects, but hopefully next time I could maybe give some comments.
Chrissy is saying that she's actually volunteered to participate and join us in our zoning board meetings, so that if we do, questions come up during the meeting, she'll be able to answer them. So that would be really helpful. And I can say in the brief time we've worked together, she's been a real pleasure to work with so far. So I'm sure you guys will love working with her.
Christine, can I ask a favor?
Sure.
Could you send us your contact information to all the
Absolutely.
zoning members?
Yes.
Thank you.
Christine, thank you for being a part of the meeting.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay.
Okay, Paul, you can go.
All right. Then, there was a second on the moving to adjourn?
If not, I'll second it now.
Okay.
If it was.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night.